whatever. This is what the internet says. Men and women have different approaches to relationships. In the book, Steve Harvey argues that men and women often think and act differently in relationships simply because they're wired differently. Men tend to be more logical and practical, while women tend to be more emotional and intuitive.
I knew it. Okay,
Kat,
let me
did you read the book? That sounds so great. That was great PR work.
But it doesn't even work.
Yeah, I saw the movie and heard the book.
But it won't work because if you just said it, right, it's almost like you already canceled it. If we're wired differently, then we can't think the same. So if you're saying, hey, men and women are wired different, that means our signals are not happening the same. That means I can't think like you because the wire that goes here and there and yours that go here and there are not the same. So I can't think like you. So that right there don't make no sense.
It's just walking contradict. You know, I don't want to get into
Well,
it.
I think
Just saying like be logical as a woman, like that's annoying.
it is because
It is annoying.
I'm not even gonna say why, but anyway, I think that women whose fathers were like very like instrumental in raising them and like teaching them lessons, I think are more likely to be thought of as like women who think like men.
You're saying something?
My thing is, although I do agree, I don't know your dad, Aaron, but if I had to guess, he's a cool guy, right? We have to understand something. There's a lot of dudes out here that are not a cool guy. So there's a lot of dudes out here that can teach a woman how to think like a man because they don't really even think like a man.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So when we have men who are, because there are men who are very much non-reactive, but they're very much pushovers and they're I guess like they don't have the strong boundaries that men typically would have. When we have men like that trying to give advice to women, which there's a lot of these dudes on podcasts nowadays, and I won't say any names, even though I've been on the name spree.
Name names, Rico. No, don't name names.
You almost got me there. You almost got me. So like, there's a lot of men on the podcast who are not really a full on man. And if we had to ask me what is a full on man, it's just a man who can embody all the challenges of the world, weigh a lot on his shoulders, and still function the same and learn how to distribute that weight differently to a point where he can still bring ease and peace to his surroundings. So thinking like a man is hard to say when you look at it when it's coming from a man who doesn't even really fully think like a man himself.
I think that different like for all we know, I mean, there's like different relationships have like a relationship is like what you make it, not what it's like told to us to be. So like maybe for you, like if a guy cheated on you, well, that's cheating, period. Where it's like if you have a relationship where it's like set up for you to explore other things, then like that's not cheating. But to the outsider, it would look like cheating. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Wait,
So-
if there's no
It's
deception
like open
in there.
relationship, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It would be like
but
that.
that's
What if there is deception though? Let's just say
those are
hypothetically.
terms of agreement from the
Yeah.
beginning.
What
right?
is-
like
what is-
that's not cheating. That's like the terms of agreement. But if there's some deception in there, that's
Okay.
a little bit different.
Okay, I
right?
get what you're saying. Yes, yes.
Like we agreed, me and Mara are not going to be outside of this relationship, and
and then
then you
you do.
you
So you
cast
break
me-
the rule.
prancing like a deer in some other woman's lawn.
not prancing.
Okay.
Is it because you don't
I guess
love
like
Mara
you know,
anymore?
like-
Yeah.
Yeah,
or you just have a high sexual appetite?
well, that's the thing.
Or
Okay,
drive.
so that's what it was,
thing,
right?
too.
What was it, Alan? If you cheat, just because he cheats doesn't mean
he doesn't love you?
yeah, that's a fact because usually men will cheat and still love their woman, even if he loves his other woman too.
Ooh, yikes.
Okay.
This is-
See, I was only talking about cheating.
I'm just
On a
saying that he
sexual level.
still
Now
will
you're
love.
just spreading the
Yeah,
love.
now you're-
I'm just saying he can still love. Like
So you're saying
you
he's
can
in
love
love.
more than one
bitch
person.
now?
So if he
You don't
cheat,
love me.
I don't think that it's natural to be monogamous if we were to strip everything. However, obviously, like monogamy works clearly because that's how America was built. Like that's how families came. That's how kids were born. That's all of that. So I think that it can work, and I think that it can not work at the same time. I am like a very much believer in gray.
You just have to choose what works for you.
That's what I'm saying.
I hate that fucking thing so much. If I could like take that and put it into an object and just step on it and spit on it and light it on fire.
Choose what works for
and just-
you. Was that your bad advice?
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
Yes. And then I could just light it on fire and just throw it out, and I'd be like, "That's what works for you. Gets you basura."
But what if you want to have like a wife and kids, and the person that you want doesn't want to get married or have kids?
Then
So then you don't date them, but
yeah, but like, okay, what I don't want to do is I don't want to utilize what is majority of our natural standards in terms of procreation, which is typically the idealistic goal with a partner, into my preferences. Now, if you were to say, "Hey, would you want a girl who cooks and clean?" and I'm like, "Nah, I don't want a girl that cooks or clean. She doesn't need to cook and clean." That's a whole different ball game, right? Because now that's a preference. But like having a kid, I feel like is majority of men's thing, right?
why though?
Well, it's because of legacy. Like usually men think
Ego.
legacy. Usually men think ahead. We want to keep, like, for example, especially if you go from the history of men.
Why do you need to have offspring? You specifically.
Me specifically?
Yeah, like what is the like what? How do you know that your kid's going to carry the same legacy that you have or the same truth that you have?
It's not their purpose to carry the same legacy as me. But my purpose is to set them up in a position where they can carry whatever legacy that they like. Because put yourself first is generalized and has no boundaries. So that means when push comes to shove, who am I going to expect for you to put first? You. So,
Always.
Yeah. You see what I'm talking
Because
about?
if we don't have ourselves, then
Thank you.
how can we expect you to have us?
Well, what we're saying is,
No, you
It's not
came
selfish.
into this world by yourself.
That's the
you
only
will
relationship
leave
forever.
by yourself.
Even death do us
Thank
part.
you.
Someone's dying. And you're
Exactly.
still with who? Yourself.
Thank you.
And when
So
you
that's
walk-
why
when
your
you walk
relationship with
cheating-
yourself is so important. And that's
come
what
on,
I'm
fellas,
saying.
Be selfish.
beginning.
Fuck it all.
When you
No, Rico, that's good.
When you
Yes,
walk
be
cheating
selfish,
and
but
you're
not
for
in a
self,
way that is
Nah,
like
I don't
to
even
put
want to
us
hear
first?
your reasons of ways.
no, because you're being
Be selfish.
Shut off.
Because
we're saying be open. Yes, we're saying be
open.
for yourself, but be open and understand that sometimes being for yourself is being for someone else.
You know how many times I've heard a
It's
girl
true.
say, and this is, I've spoken to a lot of women in my life, you feel me? And you know how many times I heard a girl say, "Yeah, my ex only cared about himself."